and I'm playing him music. And when I say it's the hardest beat you ever heard in life, like it's I'm like blowing out his speakers, and he's just like he stops it. He's like, bro, I ain't gonna front. You are really dope. Production is crazy. Your drums, like your samples, like really dope at what you're doing. He's like, unfortunately, this is not gonna work for what I'm working on.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Indie Unplugged. I am your host, of course, B. Vaughn. Today, oh my goodness, we have a true legend in the building today, ladies and gentlemen. Let me give you his introduction and let us give him a warm welcome to the Indie Unplugged. So today we have Dr. Antoine Amadeus Thompson Sr. Right, he is a renowned multi-platinum producer, CEO of Platinum Boy Music Inc., and a key member of the renowned Bad Boy Hitmen production team. Amadeus has worked with an impressive roster of artists including Jennifer Lopez, Chris Brown, Trey Songz, Busta Rhymes, 50 Cent, and the list goes on. Beyond his work in the studio, he serves as the musical director and tour drummer for Trey Songz and is an accomplished educator, motivational speaker, and author. Amadeus' remarkable journey in music is not only a testament to his talent, but also his dedication to inspiring the next generation of music creators. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us give a warm welcome to Dr. Amadeus. Peace, peace, brother.
Peace, King. Peace. How are you, my brother?
Oh man, I'm good. How about yourself?
Blessed, happy to be here. First of all, salute and congrats to you. On this amazing show, man. It's always a blessing to be able to share the story. So and
Mm-hmm.
if it's not for kings that have the vision to have to create a platform like this for us to be seen and heard, we wouldn't be able to get our story out there. So thank you for having me. Humble and grateful. I know we've been wanting to do this for quite some time now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Timing is everything. And we're here today, so I'm grateful and excited about the conversation we're going to have. So thank you, my
Yeah,
brother.
I am with the deepest humility. Thank you for being here on the Indian Plug. It is a definite honor to have you and be the platform that you can share your story with. So, yeah, man. So let's dive into it. There's so much, right, ladies and gentlemen. We were talking off camera. I was like, there's so much to dive into, but I kind of want him to start just kind of in the early years, kind of like his journey up to, and there's it's a rich history, but his journey from where he began to kind of like now, in however he wants to describe it.
Right.
So I'll let you.
Well, first off, I'm from the Bronx. So those who know me know, man, I love my borough. I love my city. So big Bronx energy there. Grew up on 169th Street, Washington Avenue. The projects over there. Really tough neighborhood, really tough environment. Um, and I feel like music was a part of it literally saved my life, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Because it was a lot that was surrounding us, and a lot of distractions, a lot of negative things. And I had parents that had the kung fu grip on me, man. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go anywhere, and I used to be miserable until I found drums. And that was the one thing that I loved, that I appreciate alongside with hip hop. But the musicianship, that was what allowed me, allowed me to be able to get out. Um, I can go to school to play drums. I can go to church to play drums. Those were the two places that I was able to go freely without any pushback or having to convince them. So that was kind of the start and the environment that I grew up in. Like I said, and this is me as a little kid,
Hmm.
on my dad's record player. So it started really young. You hear people talk about how they used to play drums or how they was a musician as a baby, but that's like showing you like, nah, I was really a baby. Like
Right.
when I fell in love with music. So that's pretty much how it all started. I had to learn a musical instrument in school, which was fourth grade. I was absent on the day that we were able to choose instruments. I actually wanted to learn how to play either the trumpet or the saxophone, but I was absent again. The next day when I showed up, those slots were all taken. And the only thing available was two instruments, and that was the violin and that was percussion. Now, again, I grew up in the hood, went to Catholic school all my life, so I had to dress up in the slacks, the dress shirts, the ties, the shoes. So I was already being teased and mocked and laughed at as I walked through the hood each and every single day to go to school, while everybody else was kind of dressed down with the jeans and the J's and all of the cool stuff. So in that moment, and it's crazy that I had to have that thought process, but in that moment, I'm like, I'm already dressed up. I'm already a target. The last thing I want to do is add a violin and a violin case to this whole dress up thing that I got going on. So I'm not going to choose that. I'm going to choose percussion, right? And I didn't even know what percussion meant. But yeah, so, it's unfortunate to have to think in that manner at fourth grade, to worry about safety and worry about not playing an instrument because of the fact that you're a target. You know what I mean, or you'd be picked on or teased. So, but that's the environment that I was growing up in, and like I said, unfortunately, I had to think in that manner. So fast forward, walked into the room, percussion was everything that had to do with rhythm and drums, and I was like, all right, cool. Sat down. My teacher would say, hey, I'm going to go around the room, see who can play this pattern. Um, and I was able to play every pattern that he played. For me, fourth grade, I'm not really thinking nothing of it. Like, it's all right, cool. All right, I guess this will be a fun class. But the motivation, and I know you're gonna laugh. The motivation was the girls in my class
Oh, for sure.
that was excited over what I was able to do on the drums. So when I saw their excitement, and I'm like, "Oh, y'all think this is cool? Like y'all like what's happening? That I can play drums and then I can mimic what the teacher's doing?" And they was like really on it. I was like, okay, cool. So that honestly was the real motivation.
Mm,
And as time went on, like I really, truly, and deeply fell in love with musicianship and the drums. And the rest was history. Of course, I loved hip hop growing up. I tried the whole rapping thing for a little bit. It was like, not really me. But the
mm,
musicianship and the production side of it always captured my attention. Fast forward, 14, 15 years old, kind of got an understanding of production. Decided that that's what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be, a music producer. Locked myself in the room. I would say like Kanye, A straight summers, and just
mm,
was figuring out equipment, figuring out production, making music, making beats until I felt I was prepared and able to let people hear what I was doing. Fast forward, 18, 19 years old, out there in the game trying to make my way into the music business. Get an opportunity with Foxy Brown to produce a record for her. Produced two records for her. One called "Get Off Me," which was a diss towards rapper Eve, that was a part of Rough
mhm,
Riders at the time, and another song called "Cradle to the Grave." DMX, Rest in Soul, was working on a movie called "Cradle to the Grave" and the soundtrack, and I ended up producing the title song to that movie and soundtrack. So that was the start of my career as a music producer, and that was obviously 25 plus years ago, and that was the start. And a lot more in there, but I'll stop there. But
mhm.
here's where we are, 25 years later. Producing for over 100 artists, ranging from a lot of the artists that you named earlier, touring with Trey Songz for 17 years, having a residency in Las Vegas as a drummer at Dre's nightclub for 8 years. So it's been a wonderful journey, my brother.
Yeah, I am sure. Like I said, it is a definite rich history that you have. As I was preparing and researching and getting my questions ready, I was like, yo, and just from just the things that I know, um, I was like, wow, he really has done a whole heck of a lot. And so we're gonna dive into some of the things that you talked about, but I am really interested uh, because I kind of have that same kind of circumstance. So you mentioned that music saved your life, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you kind of talk about that? What did that mean for you specifically? How did it really save your life? From the situation that you were in, and to giving you that positive outlet.
Right. I mean, again, when you're growing up anyway, it doesn't have to be necessarily a hood or the projects. Like, you kind of want to be with your friends. You want to hang out. You want to do what everybody else is doing. You want to play the corner because it seems like that's the cool thing to do. Like,
Right.
the dudes that stood on I didn't know what they were doing, but I know that they stood on the corner. They had the fly fits on. Every now and then, a fly chick would pass through and kind of hang out, or they'll have the cars, and again, as a little kid, you don't really understand what's going on. My parents did, of course, because they were adults and they lived life and they knew what it was. I didn't know, but it looked cool to me. Um, so again, there was a lot of no's to what I wanted to do. Man, can I go hang out over there? My mom was just one of those. I don't want to say. I'll say protective. I don't want to say scary,
Mm,
but I'll say protective moms.
mm,
But I just felt it was overprotective. I couldn't do when I say nothing, like nothing. Like
mm,
my friends' parents used to beg them, like, no, we're gonna go here. We're gonna pick them up. We're gonna drop them off. Like that had to be that. And again, they grew up. They grew up in the same neighborhood. So, the neighborhood that they were raising me and my siblings in, they actually grew up in that neighborhood. So they really knew, like, what it was to be from there. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it was. So when I say save my life, I'm like, for real. It's like, if I didn't have music, what else would I have done? You know what I'm saying? I was never really a follower. I wasn't one to do what everybody else was doing. I kind of would have my own lane, do my own thing. Was definitely into sports coming up really heavy, baseball and basketball. My parents always kept us occupied. We after school programs, summer camp. So we was always doing stuff. But it's really easy to go down the wrong path. Being
mm.
surrounded by the wrong people, seeing the wrong things, being like experiencing different things. So I feel like when I look back and I think about some of my friends, some of the people that I knew from the neighborhood that passed away, that got killed, that ended up in jail, that ended up doing, going down the wrong path as an adult. That now I have kids, it all makes sense. But as a kid, you're like, come on, man. Like, let me be great, let me live. Like, what you're not knowing is what they're doing is allowing you to live.
Mm.
So, like I said, music just really changed my life. Gave me something to look forward to each and every single day. Gave me something to work on, to develop, to nourish. My gifts and my talents. So, absolutely.
Yeah, look, I think I think music is a lifesaver. It's man for me when I was growing up, um, it was my way of escape.
Yeah.
Deal with all the things that were happening right now. Granted, I have family members who don't like for me to talk about what I'm getting ready to say, but it's my story. Like, so how can you
Yeah.
take that as part of my
Right.
story?
Exactly.
So my mom was on crack, right?
Wow.
Yeah, people like, oh, don't tell her that your mom was on. Look, it's part of my
I
story.
feel good. It's real.
Man, like, so my mom was on. My mom became addicted to crack,
Wow.
and I had several. Yeah, it was. I grew up in the hood. It was crazy. 14 years old. You know,
Wow.
I'm seeing it. I'm looking at it. I'm hearing the pipes and the lighters
Wow.
and, and music was. I had to figure out how to. And so when you say music saved your life, that kind of is the same thing. It's like I had to figure out a way to deal with all the things that were taking place. Right.
Gotcha.
It's like, man, I need to eat, but where the food at? We don't have none. And it's
Wow.
like music really became out. So kind of like you, I got into choir and was singing and doing. I don't do that today, but was
Right.
doing that. But it was my way to escape. You never, if somebody saw me in middle school and high school, it was always with headphones on.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
was always into music because I just didn't want to deal with the reality of the things that were taking place.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so kind of the same situation, right? You're seeing the negative impact, the negative things that are surrounding you, and you got to figure out: do I go be one of the guys on the block, right?
Mm.
I used to be one of the runners for the guys on the block, right? They used to call me Little Peanut back in the day, right? Because
Wow.
this dude named Peanut kind of took me under. So you'll find this interesting because, and we'll get into my next question revolves around this particular individual uh, because I grew up in Hopewell, Virginia, and Petersburg, Virginia, and so
Wow.
yeah, I went to Petersburg High.
Wow.
Yeah, and so being in that type of environment, if you know anything about Petersburg, whew, um, I was one of those kids. Hey, come here, little peanut. Like, come on, hey, watch out and see if somebody. I was like,
Right.
oh man, my mom never knew that I was, kind of doing that for those guys, but in essence, it saved my life as well. So, because I could
Wow.
have been one of those guys.
Yes, sir.
It was, yeah,
Yes, sir.
absolutely, sure.
Yes, sir.
So speaking about Petersburg, before we even get to Mr. Songs here, um, you mentioned getting into the industry was producing for Foxy Brown, right?
Mm.
How did that come about? Like, what was that trajectory that led you to that moment at that time?
So a family member, his name is Joe. Shout out to my cousin Joe Thompson. So somehow he got word that I was, into production and producing and really making music. I don't know who shared it with him because he's my cousin through marriage from my uncle. So I think my uncle's wife at that time was his aunt.
Mm,
So that's how we became cousins, and we just happen to have the like same last name. Like even before all of that, like his name is
wow.
Thompson, my name is Thompson. Just mad random.
Right.
But yeah, I remember him hitting me up, and back then we had the SkyTel two-way pages. Um, and he was like, "Yo, I heard you producing and making beats. I'm working up at the label. You should come see me." So we went through that whole thing of me playing music for him and us meeting and playing beats in the car and that whole process. And he was just like, "Yo, you really dope. You got some heat." You know what I'm saying? And then one day he was just like, "Yo, I'm gonna set up a meeting. For the dude I work for, and his name is Antoine Marchand, right? So he was the head A&R at Interscope Records. So he sets up this meeting. I go to the meeting, man. I'm like blown away. Actually at a label in the building, and it's fire. I'm seeing the plaques everywhere. This is
Mm,
crazy. So I sit down with him. I think he's working on City High, which is a group that Wyclef
yep.
had,
Hmm.
Maya, and someone else, but they're all like R&B artists, R&B pop acts. And I'm playing him music, and when I say it's the hardest beat you ever heard in life, like it's I'm like blowing out his speakers, and he's just like he stops it. He's like, "Bro, I ain't gonna front. You are really dope. Production is crazy. Your drums, like your samples, like really dope at what you're doing." He's like, unfortunately, this is not gonna work for what I'm working on. He's
Mm,
like, but I want you to go tonight, 7 o'clock, Sun King Studios. I want you to go play this same. I forgot whether it was a tape or a CD. That's how far it goes back.
right.
He's like, I want you to play this for my sister, and I'm like, who's your sister? And he's like, Foxy Brown, and I was just like, bruh, Foxy Brown. He's like, yeah, it's my sister. I want you to go play these same. He's like, I know she's gonna love it. So I'm looking at his desk, right, and I see his name. You know how they have the name tags, the name,
Hmm.
whatever. And it says Antoine Marchand, and I'm looking at it, and one thing about me, I've always been big on research. Like I would always get the albums and look at the credits, see who produced, who wrote it, the artists, their real names, the managers. Like I want to know everybody. And when I looked at his name, it made sense, and he was right because her real name is Inga Marchand. And I was like, yo, this is really her brother. So fast forward, I mean, this is in the daytime, like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So we wasted a few hours in the city. I'm all excited and hyped up. Go down to the studio, walk in the room, and she's sitting there, and I'm like, my mind, I'm going crazy. Love Foxy Brown. She was hanging up on my locker at school, like that Il Nana album. Come on, man, it's
Right.
Foxy Brown.
I
So
look. I
she's
feel.
chilling, real laid back. She's like, yo, I heard you got some heat, and I was like, I'm humble. I'm just getting out there. Put it in, press play. She's vibing. She's real cool. She's not really reacting to anything. Um, I go to the next one. Give it a little few seconds. I go to the next one. Turns around and she's like, "Can you leave this with me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, all right, cool, no doubt." And she's like, "All right, I'm a vibe with it. See if I come up with something. See if I catch a vibe. Nice to meet you. Thank you for pulling up. I appreciate you." I bounce. Next day, I get a call. Her brother. He's like, "Yo, bro, she cut 2 records last night, and them joints is crazy." She's like, "One is a diss record because she got a little beef with Eve, and another one is going to be on the credits of the great movie and soundtrack." And that was my first, as we say as producers, first placement as a producer. That was my first moment of having an official release, and it was two different worlds because the Get Off Me record wasn't an official release. It was kind of like a street joint
Mhm.
on mixtapes. I remember Funkmaster Flex playing it on the radio and dropping bombs and doing what he does, bringing it back. This is crazy. Foxy is going crazy at Eve. Oh my God. So it was
Oh,
kind of one of those moments. And then
I
obviously the official release of having a song on the movie and soundtrack. So that played in the theaters. The song was in the movie.
right.
When I got the CD from the store, read the credits. My name was in the credits. So that was definitely how it came together, and that was my first official moment as a music producer.
Man, so that's awesome, right? It's of course being in the Bronx, being in that type of environment, being in the birthplace of hip hop, right? And so having those avenues, like in my city, we ain't had none of that. There was nowhere I can go
Yeah.
to. I got some beats. Let me play them. Right,
Right.
Timbaland,
Right.
Pharrell, and Missy, and all them. They weren't there yet doing that
Yeah.
type of stuff, right? Uh, but yeah, that's dope. And if anybody don't know Cradle to the Grave, you definitely got to go see Cradle to the Grave. That's
Yeah.
a fire movie
Yeah.
right there.
Dope.
DMX,
It was
I
actually
think
a
he did
dope
this.
movie. I was surprised. It was actually a really dope movie. I was surprised, man.
I think
Really
Drag On
dope.
that movie too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Drag On. Rest in peace. DMX.
DMX.
Gabrielle Union. Anthony Anderson. Jet Li.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was a nice. It was a nice.
yeah.
It was a heavy cast.
Every cast. That was a dope movie though. I may have to go watch that. I ain't watched it.
Yeah, bro.
Cradle to the Grave in a while. But man, that's being in the right place at the right time, doing the right types of things, right? Because
Yes,
you
sir.
started in school, being a percussionist, and then of course in there somewhere we didn't really get into it, but I'm sure there was a time when you let me figure out how to learn music production, right? You probably got a SP 1200, or MPC or
NBC. Yeah.
right. So most cats get an MPC,
Yep.
uh, and then that leads up to learning how to produce beats and sample and do all those
Correct. Absolutely.
crazy things. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh no, I trust me. I know how to MPC 2000 XL. No, I
Same
think
one. Same one. I had
right,
that.
right. He got his today still. The same
Wow.
one
Yep. I
he
got it.
produced all his records on. He got the same one.
I still got it.
Right. You're right.
I still got it.
Yeah. Yeah. I got the Key 37. I saw you get the Key 37 too.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah,
How
yeah.
you
Have
like
you,
it?
have you started messing with it yet?
I have. I have. I haven't really produced anything on it yet. Like I always say to people, I do produce,
Okay.
kinda. And then
Gotcha.
my son will go, "But do you really though?" I'm like, "Dad, you're right." I'm like, "You're right. I really don't because I do this, right?" So I'm building a media company around independent music creatives, and so I still produce once in a while, but
Yeah.
not as I'm looking
Yeah.
at it like not as
Yeah.
often.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. But but yeah, that's a definite journey. That's right there. Okay, so um, let's kind of segue to Mr. Tremaine. Uh, I always just find it interesting, right? Because it was let me tell you the story first, and then I'll ask you the question. So as I was reading and getting prepared the other day, and I was like, yeah, okay, I know Troy Taylor worked with Trey Songz, and that's kind of how Trey got his start. And
Yeah.
I know Trey's from Petersburg, right? We went to well, we didn't go to high school together, but
Right.
I always tell the story. I was like, yo, there was this kid when I was growing up that was like a singer dude. And I don't ever know if it was him or not, but I'm like, yo, there was this dude who was like a singer kid when I was growing up, when I was growing up in Petersburg. But um, what's so crazy though is as I was doing the research, and I just went let me just go do some research on Trey Songz and kind of blah blah blah. And I went and I saw the names of his parents, and I was like, Golson, Golson. Wait a minute, his mom's last name is Golson. Yo, I know a whole bunch of Golsons. Like, because Hopewell and Petersburg are like real close. So you got people who
Yeah.
kind of just go to one city to the next and they kind of
Right.
move, go back and forth. I was like, yo, I know a whole lot of people named Golson. Like, his mom is not to put his mom in. I'm like, his mom, what? And I like kind of had like that. So I started reaching out to my family members. I was like, yo, who do we know by the last name of Golson? All of a sudden we were like, oh, we know this person, this person, this person, that, this, and that. I was like, do we know somebody by this name? They haven't gotten back to me yet about this
Gotcha.
name, but I just thought it was interesting. I was like, yo, we know a whole bunch of people on his family side that,
Wow.
like I said, But anyway, let's get back to Mr. Neverson. So you've been working with Trey Songz for a very long time, right? Being a musical director, the tour drummer. Can you share some of those experiences? How did that situation come about? And what were some of the most memorable moments or challenges that you faced during that time, and still even
Dope
today?
question. Dope. Dope. So we were working on a record, myself and Mike Jones, right? And I remember him wanting to feature an R&B artist on the song, and I remember him throwing out a bunch of different names. I think it was Tyrese came up, Omarion came up, Trey came up. I'm trying to think who else came up. A few names. Chris Brown came up, and we felt that Trey fit the song best. His tone, his vocals, his vibe. Mike and Trey were both label mates at the time under WMG, Warner Brothers.
Hmm.
Um, so it just made sense and just made it easy. No politics involved. Just whatever. So went down to Houston and started working on this record. there's a drum set in the corner. And I'm like, yo, I play drums. And both Trey and Mike laughed like if I was like joking. And I'm like, nah, I really play drums, bro. Like,
Like, I'm
yo,
with you,
I said,
Mike.
bro, I play drums, bro. Like that's how the production thing even started. I'm a drummer first, I'm a musician first, a church boy. So move forward, we did the song. And before we left the studio, I told Trey, this is Trey, first album out, braids, just gotta make it vibe. And I'm just like, yo, bro, you real soulful, and the type of music you making. One day you gonna need a band, and if you need a band, call me and I'll put the band together, right? Left it at that. I went my way, he went his way, Mike went his way, and that was that. A year later, I got a phone call from his manager at the time, Delonte Murphy, and he's like, "Hey, yo, you ready to put the band together?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like a year later, I don't know what you're talking about. So much didn't happen in that year.
Right.
I don't like. He's like, "Yo, Trey said you told him you was gonna put his band together when he was ready," and he was like, "He's ready. He needs a band, and you told him, so he wants you to put the band together." So I was like, "I'm gonna hit you back." So I hit one of my band members from church, my man Butters. So Butters, he's older than me, big brother, one of my big brothers, and he was functioning as a music director already. So he was a music director for Case, Casey and JoJo. Went on to do like Leela James and Nelly. Like, so this is his area. So I'm like,
Mhm.
hey, bro, got a phone call. Trey Songz want to put a band together. I don't know how to be a music director. I don't know how to be a band leader. I know how to play drums. You know what I'm saying? He's like, so I'm like, this is what you do. I'm gonna let you be the music director. I'm just gonna play drums. And he was just like, nah. I was like, what you mean no?
Like,
He's like, Leela James gave me an opportunity. Case gave me an opportunity. Casey and JoJo, Nelly. I didn't know what I was doing. We grew and we learned and we figured it out. And he was like, you got the call. This is your opportunity. He's like, I'm going to go out with you. So I'll be on keys. You'll be the music director and drummer. We'll bring the rest of the guys out, from the band. And that's what it is. And whatever guidance and information and help you need, I'll make sure you get that behind closed doors. And I was just like, okay, cool. And we did the first show. Phenomenal. And it was like an R&B live show in the city. Jay-Z, Beyonce was there. Kevin Lowndes was there. Like so many celebrities and artists was there. It was like an R&B show that happened. I don't know if it was once a month, every Tuesday, or every week Tuesday, something. And it's a big thing in music. Shut that joint down. Went back to our church lives. Got another phone call. Like, you want to do another show? Like, all right, cool. Did another show for it's like album release. Killed that in the city. Got another call. Was like, y'all want to go on tour? It's like, all right, cool. Did that tour for like a month and a half. Came back home. Came back to church. Y'all want to go on tour again? Open up for Jay-Z. Cool. Did that tour like it? So it turned out from being one show to never coming back home. you know, Playing at church and we've been with Trey as his band for the last 17 years, bro,
wow.
and it was a crazy thing because I didn't know that I was going to turn into that. None of us knew it was going to turn into that. I remember getting in trouble with my pastor, my late bishop, rest her soul, Bishop Michelle White, and I remember bringing me up to the office like, you took my whole band, right? like the whole band, and I'm like, and she was definitely a mother figure, so I'm like, I didn't know it was going. I just thought we was going to do a quick show. It's because it's every musician's. I don't care what they say. It's every musician's dream to tour the world, to play huge arenas, big venues. Like if they're saying no to that, they're lying. I don't want to hear
Right.
anything. So the
Exactly.
opportunity to do that, I feel like I had to take that. And on top of that, I wanted it to be alongside my brothers. Like, why would I go and hire or create a band and give a complete stranger an opportunity like this and not my brothers? So my heart was pure for it. I had the right intentions, but again, I did see how she felt, and because it was literally her whole entire band. Like, and she was hot for quite
Oh,
some time. I was on her. I was on the bad side of her for quite some time because she's only human. You know what I'm saying, pastor or not. Um, and she understood. She understood. We got on the same page. She loved on me. She continued to support me, and that's what it was. So when you think about moments, I think as a kid from New York, from the Bronx, playing Madison Square Garden, like I cried. Like playing
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden a few times. We did it twice with Jay Z. We did it with Mariah Carey. We opened up for Usher. Um, so a few times playing Madison Square Garden, I'm like, yo, my mom used to come here. My dad used to come here. You know, when they were young and concert goers. My mom brought me to my first show here at Madison Square Garden, and that was to see MC Hammer. Um,
Oh
and
yeah.
guess who was opened up for MC Hammer? It was Jodeci that opened up for MC Hammer, brand new, fresh out of the gate. So to have those type of moments, get on the airplane, fly around the world, go to Africa, go to Australia, go to Japan, play all of Europe, overseas, play all of United States. Just so those are the memories. BET Awards, Essence Fest. Um, I can go on and on and on with the Summer
Right.
Jam. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Which in New York is a big staple because that was played at MetLife, which is the home to the New York Giants. That arena holds 60,000 plus people. So I'm playing in front of 60,000 people. In Australia, playing in front of 88,000 people. Like these are some of the moments that we've been able to share as a band and as brothers on stage, man. So it's been a tremendous blessing. Challenges, not touring or having to come home from touring, and
Yeah.
that side of music and that side of your world kind of coming to a halt, and you having to pivot. So I'm always producing, always performing, playing. Trey is the only artist that I've toured with. I decided not to tour with other artists. I wanted to always be 100% available to him as his music director. I didn't want to be out on the road with someone else and then a tour or a show comes up for him and I'm not there and available to do my job and to do my role. Now, obviously, you can tour with other artists and kind of spread out and do different things. I know Adam Blackstone, he's the music director extraordinaire. He has Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson. He does all of the BET Awards. He does all of the Emmys. Like, and he's just woo, 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 woo. I didn't want to be that guy because I still love production too. So I
Mm.
wanted to, do that, but then still have enough time to also do what I love on the production side of things too. So that's kind of what life's been like. Those are the ups and downs. Um, Putting those shows together is hard too, man. When you're working that close to an artist, a lot goes into that. Sometimes you don't agree. Sometimes you bump heads. Sometimes you clash. Sometimes you fuss, you fight, not physically, but
Yeah.
argue, and I get yelled at, I get screamed on, and not to think that he's a bad person or it just comes along with it. I'm yelling at my guys, I'm yelling at my team, I'm going off because we all demand excellence, we all demand
Mm.
greatness, and when people sacrifice and they spent their hard-earned money to come to the show, we want to give them the best experience possible. You got to think, you're buying a ticket, tickets ain't cheap, all them fees that come along with it. You got to get there, parking. You got to get a fit. Ladies got to get their hair and nails done. Might got to put kids in the babysitter. Drive an hour away for that. Like drinks when you get there. That's like $25 for one. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Food. So it's all of those different things, man.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to make sure that you really appreciate the fans and like I said again, give them the greatest experience that they can possibly have. So when they walk away, who knows? Somebody could have took their rent money and spent to come to a show. Somebody could have took tuition, you know, for school, their last cell phone bill, money towards their vacation to come see this show when you want them to leave like it was worth the sacrifice. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's facts though, because you know people do in those cases. They will go spend whatever money. I always say people will do whatever it takes to appease the desires that they have, right? And so if they want to go see that particular artist, they're gonna go. Hey, I ain't paying the rent this month because I need to go see whoever
Right.
my artist is, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure that happens. And them ticket prices ain't
Dude,
$100. Them ticket
I be
prices.
looking and I be like,
Oh,
that's what y'all be paying?
right.
Thank God, obviously, but
Yeah,
whoa,
it's crazy.
whoa.
Look, because so my anniversary is going to come up. Well, actually, it's in 2 weeks, but we have something that we want to do next week because the concert is next week,
Okay.
uh, and so I hit
Well,
up.
happy early anniversary. Happy early
I
anniversary.
appreciate that. Man, we 20 25 years,
I,
25 years, boy,
I was about to ask you. I was about to ask you what was the number.
25 years. Yeah. 26
It's a
together.
blessing, my brother.
That's
It's a
a
blessing,
boy.
man.
That's a man. That's a huge blessing.
Especially especially as one of us.
Oh yeah.
Um, broken homes and I know divorce happens everywhere in all cultures and all
Mhm.
ethnicities. But obviously we represent the black culture and to be able to have love for that amount of time, to not throw in the towel on one another when you could have, I'm sure, many times, and just to death do us part. That's what it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
Through the good times, through the bad times, man. So I know this is about me, man, but I definitely want to take a moment to celebrate you
Oh
and your
man.
partner on 25 years. So, man, celebrate, turn up.
All right. We
Go
gonna
ahead and let the mortgage. Go ahead and let the mortgage. Run a little late, man. This worth it. This worth it. This
no,
worth
no. So in saying that, right?
it.
So I hit up a homie of mine, and I was like, "Hey," because he's in a group, and I was like, "Hey, we thinking about coming down to Macon to come see y'all perform with BBD." And so he was like, "Bet, say no more." He was like, "He's like, I got you." He said, "Just show up."
Yeah,
And
sure, right. Get
yeah, he
there.
was like, "Show up," because then because at first I went to go look at how much some tickets were. I was like, I was like, yo, let me call Mike real quick. I was like, yeah, hey, Mike, not to name drop, but I was like, hey,
Yeah,
bro, I was like, hey, bro, like we thinking of coming to see y'all to make it, like, was good. And so of course, I mean, he's in the group 112, and so he did the same thing for us couple years prior, when I was living back in St. Louis, a
okay.
couple years prior, where I was like, "Yo, I see y'all performing in Kansas City." He was like, "Bet." He was like, "I was like, yo, it's our anniversary." He was like, "You trying to go?" I was like, "Yeah, you know what? Yeah, yeah, yeah." Because it was 112. Now this was like a bucket list right here. It was 112, Drew Hill, Jagged Edge,
Yeah,
Keisha Cole, Faith Evans. I was like,
yeah. My
"Yes,
boy, not my boy, but I know the promoter. The promoter booked us on a few shows together. So yeah, he's had that strong lineup and been moving it from city to city for quite some time. He's killing with that.
I was like, yeah, bro. I said, we coming to that. So we drove to Kansas City, had a great time. Lost a part of my hearing, and then oh yeah, it was crazy.
You for
Yeah,
real?
no, yeah, 100% for real. Like, yeah, like when I left that concert, I could hear absolutely nothing. Like it was literally deaf that after that concert for like 2 days. I ain't gonna say who said it was, but there was a particular person set who set was not good. I don't even know if they prepared. I can tell you it wasn't 112, but
Right.
because they killed it. Drew Hill killed it. Jagged, Jagged Edge, they killed it. Um, but man, my wife was like, I was like, she was like, you can't hear me?
Wow.
Nothing. I could hear literally nothing for 2 days, bro. It was so crazy.
Glad it
But
came back.
I'm glad it came back too, because whoa, I was like, she'll be saying stuff.
You not now between from brother to brother, you might have enjoyed it for a little bit. Just saying. We're gonna keep it 1,000. I'ma say it. He ain't saying it, wifey. I said it.
So look, so back then we had our kids were young. Our kids are grown now, but they were younger back then, and so dad, hey dad. I ain't hear none of that.
None of
I,
that.
none of that for like 2 days. I was like,
Wow.
just walking around the house like, yo, I couldn't, yo, like, whew, that's an experience, man. Like I could not imagine being someone who one probably either born deaf or two had hearing and then became deaf. It is a totally surreal experience. Like,
Wow.
yeah, it's. I mean, because you could hear nothing, and you're like,
It's
what in the
crazy.
world is going on? Like, that's crazy. But anyway, yeah, them
Wow.
ticket prices were crazy. I was like, yeah, do I got to connect? Yup. Let me hit them right up real quick and find out.
I'm on that always, bro. I'm on
Right.
that always.
Exactly. Okay. Let's talk about Platinum Boy Music. So it was a record label you started. So let's kind of talk about what was your purpose in starting it. What were some of the major notable achievements in starting Platinum Boy Music, and just kind of some, what are the future aspirations that you hope to achieve with your label?
So originally, I needed a name for my publishing.
Yep.
I was sitting in ASCAP, young. I forgot it. This is maybe about 2000, maybe. Yeah, somewhere around there. And I was sitting in ASCAP, and they was like, "You need a name for your publisher." And I was horrible with names, and it came to me like this. It was strictly, all right, the music that I make, I wanted to go platinum, and I'm a boy, platinum boy.
Right. There we go.
Simple as that. The name cleared. No one was using it. Used that in my publishing thing, and that's kind of how it came about. Started producing. Years later, kind of started building. So it's not a label. It's more so much of it's more of a production company, right?
Mm.
Because I wanted to house producers and songwriters besides myself, and I did that for quite some time. But then I kind of did transition into having artists. So I had an artist. She was my wife at the time, Tiffany Mignon, R&B artist, really incredible. I had Captain D Mac, Flyboy Maestro. So I had a few artists that I've experienced. I had Cole Campbell at one time, and it's really dope. Takes a lot, um, which is what made me step back. Because it's like you have all these aspirations and things and goals you want to achieve, and all these ideas, and you want to do all of those things, right? Because I didn't set out to have a label and to one artist. I didn't. But sometimes you'll meet an artist that's so incredible, and you're like, I got to do it. And it's kind of like an in the moment thing where you're like, let me just see how it goes. You know what I'm saying? But then you get into it and you're like, this is a lot, especially as an independent. If your label or company is signed to a major label, that's a different world because you can kind of create and do the music, and then allow for the label to come in with the marketing, with the promotion, with the dollars, with the everything that goes into that, man. But when it's just you and your team and your artist, it's like, hmm. So that's what it was. I actually released an album with Tiffany Mignon that was absolutely incredible called Love Vendor. That was the first album that I produced. And it's more of an EP. We released it. Incredible body of work. Um, so that was that. Like I said, fast forward, had a few artists, but then decided to kind of go our separate ways in a positive manner, in the right manner. No beef, no issues, no drama. They respected it. You never want to play. Not saying that I played, but you never want to not give someone your all, especially when it comes to their lives, their livelihood, their dreams, their goals, aspirations. It's like if I can't give you 100%, I'm going to let you move forward because I don't want to hold you back or hinder you from achieving your goals and walking in your greatness. So that's kind of what it was. It still functions as a music production company to this day. I still have producers, a part of the team that I can humbly say are now multi-platinum music producers that have produced for everybody else as well. So it's great to see, people live their dreams and me have a role and a responsibility in that in regards to them becoming who they are as musicians and producers today. In regards to goals, man, there's still so many different artists that I want to produce for. Rick Ross, Usher, um,
Mm.
Kirk Franklin, Mario. Mario is one of my favorite R&B artists and vocalists of all time. Like he's
Yo,
such a
he,
beast.
yeah, Mario
Like
is dope, bro.
such a beast. So Mario, there's so many artists, man. That's incredible. I love what Megan Thee Stallion is doing. I love a lot of what the younger artists, A Boogie, the Baby, Little Baby. It's a lot of greatness that's
Mm.
happening right now. Money Long, as an artist named Honey Baby. So of course I want to produce, but now it's more so, really being a blessing. With me visiting schools and having the conversation of them chasing them, living their dreams, no matter the circumstances. Really being motivation to the people, motivation to people around the world. Because again, I felt like music is a blessing. Music has created, where I am today. All of the wall art, which I appreciate, all of the accolades, the love, the respect, the awards, the honors, the all that's amazing, right? But I feel like a new song is created every second. A new artist is out every moment. A new producer or songwriter is coming to life every second. So I feel like people can possibly forget my music or forget a song I produced or forget a show I played. or idea I had musically, right? I'm not saying that they will, and I'm not saying they want to, but I'm saying they can. So my
Mm,
way of thinking is, what people won't forget is impact that you've made on their lives. Moments that you've shared, pouring into, inspiring, motivating, empowering, educating. They'll never forget those moments. Amadeus came to my school, or I had a conversation with Amadeus, or I watched Amadeus' interview on Indie Unplugged, and man, he said some things that really inspired me to go chase and live my dreams. And now I'm the
mm-hmm.
president of Def Jam. Now I just got drafted to the New York Giants. Now I'm playing for the Yankees. Now I'm a principal. Now I'm a lawyer, and I got my own firm. Like, so, if my words or my story and my journey and my motivation can push you to do great and to live your dreams, I'd rather that, because you'll never forget me. You know what I'm saying? And not to take anything away from anything that I've done musically or my career, because it's the music that started it all. It's the music that catapulted me into all of these different areas and different walks in life, for me to tap into the other gifts and talents that I have that are God given. So I just want to be a blessing, man. If I can, work with those artists along the way, cool. Whatever different venues that I haven't played yet, if I can play those venues, cool. Longer years at Dre's in Vegas, cool. But I just want to be a blessing, man.
Yeah, that's what's up, brother. Yeah, I think the legacy is absolutely important. I think sometimes people don't think about the legacy that they truly want to leave, the impact that they have on people's lives, and ultimately that's kind of the perspective that you want to have is what,
Right.
because I always think about um, how are you going to be remembered, right? And so um, not to segue into this, but um, talk about what I do in my real day to day job. So in my real day to day job, outside of running We Create Music TV, the Indie Unplugged, etc., I do organizational development and leadership. And so one of the classes that I used to teach was the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And in that class, there is something that we facilitate called the 80th birthday. And the 80th birthday is talking about you're you're 80 years old, you're having a birthday party, and all the most important people are there to
Mm.
celebrate your birthday. What do you want them to say about you? What do you want them to say about your legacy? What impact would you like for them to, mention back to you that you've had on your life? And I think that's the thing that we don't really think about, because I think we're so fast and so quick to kind of get to things. We don't think about, man, and like so like for you, there's multiple things that you have done that have cemented your legacy. Um, and I think people don't think about that. I think it's like, well, let me just go get this, and then I'm good. But legacy is absolutely important because you have kids. I have kids. They are going to continue that legacy on. Your name is still going to live on, even
Right.
after we're long gone, right? And the
Yeah.
name is going to live on, whether it lives on through our children, whether it lives on through the accolades and the impact that we've had. So for you specifically, there's a couple things. Number one is what did it mean to you personally, specifically? How did you feel in this moment when you were inducted into the Bronx Walk of Fame? Like how did that feel to you? What did that mean to you from a impact perspective?
Right, man. I remember being on a tour bus. We had a long drive. So some of the team members went and caught flights back home. Because we had a few days off and to fly into the next city. I forgot where we were coming from, man, but we were going to Oakland. Um, then we were stopping in Vegas. So we were on the way to Vegas. It was during the day, and I got an email, and the email was the letter in regards to me being inducted to the Bronx Walk of Fame. And I'm reading the letter, like the email, and I didn't read the email properly. So I'm like, I passed it to my brother, my band member Ricky. I'm like, yo, read this, bro, because I thought I was being invited to attend the ceremony. And I'm like, what does this email say? And he's reading it, and he's just like, bro, this is crazy. And I'm like, is that what I think it is? He's like, yeah, man, like being inducted to the Bronx Walk of Fame, you're gonna have a street sign. And I was like, for real? And he's like, yeah. So it was him and my other brother Nate Jones, on bass player, and we're in the front part of this on a tour bus, and they're like congratulating me, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking out the window, looking at all of the mountains and all of that, and I'm just like Cool. So it took a while to set in. So we got into our hotel room, and we had day rooms because we were leaving that night, so we were just there for the day. And I was in a room, and I was by myself. I hit the gym, and I kept thinking about it, and it just wasn't registering. And so a few days went by, and it still just wasn't clicking. And then just one day, it like really hit, and I think I had came home for like a little break for the tour, and I was sitting on my couch and just started boiling, like just started crying uncontrollably. And I think it hit, and I was just like, bro, a street sign, like. And the crazy part about it, the blessing is to be alive to see it. You know, street signs are usually, and I spoke to the Bronx Borough president and some officials, government officials, and they're like, yeah, they usually do the street sign when someone passes. And I've always felt that was so backwards. I'm like, why would someone get a street sign when they pass and they're not able to see their street sign and their contributions to the community and to the world and to the borough? Like, it's so crazy to me. So thinking about all of those different things, I'm like, that's really crazy, man. And so when it finally happened, there was a lot. It was a lot. I was surrounded by my family. My kids were there, right there. My mom was standing, beside me. My dad, unfortunately, passed away 2 years ago.
Mm.
So he was there in spirit, and looking down from heaven as what I feel is my guardian angel. So, and family, friends, officials, and I'm just looking at it, and I'm like in awe. And it's still registering. It's still sinking in. Uh, and that day was so much going on that day, between all of the interviews and the media, and we had a Bronx ball that night, and so everything was just happening, and there was so much going on, pictures, and so you're not really taking it in. You're just being a part of all of the process and all of the things you have to do and be a part of, in celebration of it. So it took weeks to really take it in. So I would say last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, I went to the sign and just by myself, middle of the day, I just finished speaking at a school, graduation, giving a commencement speech, and I just went, pulled up, middle of the day, people walking around, and I just stood there and just like dolo and just really looked at it and took it in and looked where it was and just was like, this is really crazy. And then a week go by, happened to go to the Yankees game with my son, and we parked like literally on the street of it, made some content, looked at it, and walked from the sign to the Yankee Stadium. Like, and it was just such a surreal moment, man. So I'm completely super humbled and grateful, super proud of it. It's something that will live forever. Um, so my mark has been made, especially me being from the Bronx. Like, I love my city, I love my borough. Everywhere I go, I'm like, from the Bronx. Like, I'm like, I say it with pride. We get a lot of hate, a lot of negativity, man. But I'm just grateful to be something positive out of that borough and to bring light and love to it, man. So it's still sinking in, man. It's probably going to take a real long time to really sink in, man. But I'm blessed and I'm grateful. So I appreciate you even celebrating that
Yes,
and bringing
sir.
that moment up.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that I mean that must have been a very, of course, joyous occasion to be
Great.
into the Bronx Walk of Fame.
Yeah.
That's and so in St. Louis we have one. We have a St.
Yeah.
Louis Walk of Fame as well. So and it's right in the Delmar Loop when you go, and it's like wow. I can't remember her name. She was just inducted. She just got a star on the St. Louis Walk of Fame.
That's dope. I remember somebody. I forgot who it was, but I remember hearing about it.
Right. I think Nelly got one too. Um,
He better got. He better have one.
oh, Nelly, he
You
better have
think
one.
St.
He
Louis? That's the first person I think of.
get him one. But yeah. I think. See, but that goes back to the legacy, right? That goes back to the work that you've done, the impact that you've had, and now the legacy is now being set into place, being set
Right.
physically, right?
Right.
People can see it. Oh, this is wow. Right? Not even that. So the other part, there's two more of these things, right? That I want to talk about. The second one is that you were honored with an entrepreneur award by the Young Gifted and Black Entrepreneur Awards program. So what is right? So what does that mean, right? These aren't Grammys. Like, I think these are the most. I think this right here is the
Yes, sir.
most impactful type of awards that you can actually get because it yeah, I mean people want accolades for the music, but you are participating in community
Yes, sir.
and teaching kids the next generation and having an influence in the lives of other people. So kind of talk about that award and kind of the same way. What did that mean for you and how did that influence your overall career?
I mean, you said it for me. I feel the same exact way where I haven't been able to, um, and I say yet, because I still believe, and if it happens, it happens. If it don't, whatever. But I haven't been nominated for a Grammy as of yet. I haven't won a Grammy yet, right? And I remember it really taking a toll on me for years. Like Grammy time would come, and like I wouldn't watch it. I get really emotional. My sister would always reach out around that time, like, "You good? You okay?" And sometimes I wouldn't be. Sometimes I would be. The last few years, I've been fine. I've watched it. I've supported it. I see a lot of our music, a lot of the black music being celebrated and honored, and I was really happy and excited about that. But like you said, it doesn't take anything away from Grammys. Grammys are still the Grammys, and as a musician, an artist, a producer, a contributor to music in general, to me, that's like the highest you can get. Like,
Right. It's like a
besides that, it's kind of like the highest you can get. So who wouldn't want one? So that's the first thing, right? But like you said, when you start, and I'm looking in the direction because these are where my awards are and the plaques are, for like the community service and that type of work. It's a dope feeling, man. It's a real dope feeling. Um, like I got a certificate that's here from a Principal Wodu, from me doing the commencement speech at her school for pre-kindergarten and kindergarten graduates. Like, and I
wow.
stood up there and I said, "Yo, I'm gonna put this right next to the Chris Brown, and right next. So right now it's sitting right alongside the Justin Bieber plaque, like because that's how important I feel it was and how it meant to me, right? And I remember getting asked to speak to that graduation, and I'm not nervous to perform in front of 80,000 people. I'm not nervous to do a show, going to the studio, but I said pre-K, excuse me, kindergarten. What am I saying to them? Like they don't even know. I was like, "You sure you want me to do this?" And she's like, "Absolutely, you're gonna be great." And I tell you, I was so nervous, but when I walked into that auditorium, and she was kind of the principal board was getting them hyped up and excited. Them little babies were on a million, and that ended up being one of the most fun and amazing commencement speeches I've ever given in life.
Mm.
Them little pre-K and kindergarten kids, man, because it's just something about that innocence and that love and that genuineness. They don't even know. They excited. They yelling. They roaring. They're like, I don't know what you're saying, but cool. Like, and I made it to where they can understand it. Of course, who's going to kindergarten, who's going to first grade. So I got them in with that. Who want parents at the end of the day? You gotta give them whatever they want. They want ice cream. They want a PS5. They want a yo mad hype, but I share that to say one of the most amazing, memorable moments in life. Like, and not to downplay any music accolade, none of those. Like, it's amazing. I appreciate everything, but it's something about being a blessing. It's something about the give back. It's something about community. It's something about pouring into. So, when someone honors me for community service or me going to speaking to schools and educating schools in my book, and it's a different feeling. It's a different emotion, man. That just feels wonderful. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, that's. I mean, imagine that, right? You're performing in front of 80,000 plus people, but it's little kids that get you nervous. You're like, and I for me, it's probably because it's man, what I'm getting ready to say is going to impact and influence their lives from this point on. Like they may not necessarily know, but they are going to remember. Hey, Amadeus came to speak. He said, you know what? Now I think about it, that makes so
Yeah.
much that what you said, and you kind of said it earlier, what you said set me on a completely different trajectory. Now I want to do this. And now I'm the CEO of this, or I'm the, and it's like, would that have ever happened?
Correct.
I don't know if we get that from like listening to music, listening to a song,
Right.
right?
Correct.
Because
The
we
songs, the songs probably allow us to live experiences or relate,
Mm-hmm.
to experience. Like if you was from the hood and you was part of the drug world, and you remember running from the cops, you remember that whole scene, or you was married and went through a divorce, or if you was in a relationship and your partner cheat. So there, I feel like music allows you to feel and
Mm-hmm.
connect, and to either go through experiences, whether hard, whether good, whether positive, allow you to feel emotional, set the mood, you and your lady, put on a little Marvin Gaye. So, it creates feelings and emotions, but, like impact. Like, I'm not saying it doesn't, but I'm just saying when you have these type of moments, it make impact. And I'll share this, right? So I was with this principal at a dinner meeting 2 days ago. Same principal that invited me to the kindergarten and pre-K, and that's the first thing she said. She said they're still the kids and the parents and the staff are still talking about that day. She said, hands down, that was probably my most memorable and fun day being a principal. The day you came and what you said, and you speaking at the graduation, and I'm looking at her like, what? Now, mind you, and this is another school, right, where the AP, the assistant principal, came in, and she had sent an email about my speech, and I was on tour, so I didn't get it. So I walk into the school, and she said, "Hey, can I see a copy of your speech? I got to show it to the principal, and this and that." I said, "I don't write speeches. I've never written a speech a day in my life." And she's like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah, because we kind of got to get it approved." I said, "I don't know. I'm here. I'm here for y'all." And she kind of gave me a rundown of the students, which I didn't need either, but she did that. And I said, not to make you afraid or to scare you. I said, I have no idea what I'm saying to your students. I said, because I was in the room, the auditorium they were setting up and they weren't there yet. I said, when they walk in this room and when their parents walk in this room, that's when I'll get to feel the energy of them, the graduates and their parents, and I'll feel as I'm standing there looking at them with the microphone in my hand on what needs to be said, because every message, every commencement, everything that I share, every visit, totally different.
Totally
There's no
different.
plan. There's no schedule. There's no. You just tell me how much time I have. 9 times out of 10, I'm not gonna listen to the time thing anyway. I'm just gonna do me because you have me. I'm not gonna listen to the time, but you can tell me. You can try to tell me when I'm finished. When I'm finished. But when I was done, and to God be the glory. I'm not sitting here boasting or, you know, God speaks through me. I pray. I align myself, and I just want to give the people what I feel they need to hear for them to be inspired by and be great, And she came up to me after, and she was like, "Oh my goodness," and she was just like, "So that's what you meant?" I said, "Yeah." I don't even remember what I said.
Mm.
Like the moment is over, and now I just want to take pictures and meet and greet and cool. But I said it's a spiritual thing. I don't know if you, I don't know where you're at, where your spirituality is, who you believe, but for me, it's the man upstairs, and I just allow him to use me and speak
Sure.
through my words, man, and that's that. So it's a blessing, bro. It's a blessing, man. So and that's why I said, and I kind of jumped the gun when we talk about what I want to be remembered for. It's like the music is cool, the music is beautiful, it's cool, but when you bless somebody's life, they'll never forget you, man. Why do you think? And not even to bring it to this level, but I'm thinking about it and comparing it to, like, why do you think when someone is in a hospital, or a kid or a person asks for possibly their last wish, y'all want to see Nelly? I want to see OBJ. I want to see Denzel Washington. I want to see Mariah Carey. And that person calls in or visits the hospital or makes a video of saying, "Hey man, this is such and such. I heard you're a huge fan." Like, that person is possibly on their deathbed, and
Mm-hmm.
and while they're challenged with whatever they're challenged or facing, whatever they're facing, that 5 minutes, that 10 minutes, that 20-second moment video call is putting a smile on their face, and allowing them to feel so much love in that moment. And that can be their last moment.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And I never really thought of it in that manner, but why do you think they do that? It's like it's a dream come true.
Right.
This is a moment that I'll never forget, even as I'm transitioning, if that's what's happening in life. Like, so again, I just want to make impact, man. I just want to make impact. I want people to feel like it may seem impossible, Like, and you brought up the street, and then who would have knew that this little kid that got laughed at for years, walking to school dressed up, walking to church, church boy, a pretty boy. Look at him, he ain't street. He don't look at little drummer boy. All of the little antics, all of the little things would be working with the coolest artists in the world, flying around the world. And now instead of being in these, like I said it on in the post, being in these DC streets, I was just at the White House, like not outside the gates, not like looking outside taking pictures from the front.
Right.
No, like I was in the White House. I walked the lawn, like I saw the motorcade, like VP, Kamala Harris was leaving the building. Like I watched her leave the building, like
Right.
like in regards to a conversation over gun violence and how do we help and stop that in the community, in which I was able to bring my son to witness that conversation, and he took part in a in an activity that took place, and memorable moments. We'll never forget that day. We'll never forget that moment. So people see things that may seem impossible, and me and God allowing me to do those things or accomplish those things, and I look like them, and I look like you, and I'm from where you're from, and I'm experienced what you've experienced, seen what you've experienced, overcome what you've overcome. Like, bro, you can do anything you want to do in life, man. So that's where I'm at in life. So as I do things, it's more of an intention. Like back then, it was a hobby, little kid hobby, how I can get out of the house, how I can impress the girls, how I can look cool. Then it changes, like, oh, okay, this is a career now. This is a business. This is how I eat, right? Then you have kids, so it's like, oh, don't play with me because this is how I keep a roof over my head. Like this
Right.
is how I feed my family. So don't play with them checks. Like it keeps the trajectory keeps changing. Your why keeps changing. So now, 43 years old, doing what I'm doing, kids. Son finishes first year in college, daughter on the way to seventh grade. It's like your why changes,
Changes.
man. So
Right.
my why now is I just want to be a blessing. I just want to look cool. I just want to be fly, do what I do, but be a blessing. You know what I'm saying? That's where it's at. That's where I'm at with it.
That's for sure. Yeah, yeah, man. That's the thing. I love that. Your why does change over the years, right? Your
The why
purpose
changes.
kind of changes. The trajectory it leads you on kind of magnifies itself. So that's for sure,
Yes,
right?
sir.
So,
Yes,
so
sir.
all the things that you're saying, when you really think about it, right? So you think about the awards that you've achieved, you think about the certificates, you think about the plaques, and then there's also the immortalization of yourself on Madison Square Boys and Girls Club, right? So
Man.
there's a mural that exists with Amadeus's face on it, imprinted forever,
Yes,
where
sir.
people walking by and they could see, wow, this is an individual that has impacted this community. Uh, so kind of talk about, right? I mean, that's another one, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like your impact has led to and I call it is an immortalization, right? When we and it's kind of the thing as you mentioned, when we have people who pass, we immortalize them on shirts and things like that. And we walk around, rest in peace with this person. But
Yeah. Yeah.
here,
Right.
here is you are now on the Madison Square Boys and Girls Club mural, and you get a chance to see it, and you're like, wow,
Right. Yeah.
yeah. So
Same thing. I remember getting that email. um, and shout out to Melanie, who I've known for quite some time. Worked alongside her with BET, and then she started working at Rock the Bells. And I remember getting that email, and I'm like, hmm? And she's like, yeah, Rock the Bells is partnering up with Coca Cola and Boys and Girls Club, and we're putting names, pitching names for people to be, a part of the mural. And ended up being myself. Shout out to my brother DJ D Nice, Grandmaster Flash, legend from the Bronx, Tuffy, another legend from the Bronx, a young lady by the name of Ceresia, who's doing wonderful things in the borough in regards to literacy. It's just was a legendary thing, man. And I remember when they unveiled it with my kids, of course. I'm like, as like a painting on the wall amongst so many other great entrepreneurs and musicians and greatness in amongst the barrel. And like you said, just a beautiful thing, man. A beautiful thing. My dad did get to see that, not personally, but he got to see, the image. So that was pretty cool. And I go there. Like I don't, um, just want to be a face on the wall. I just finished speaking to my brother Jay Hodge last night, who was one of the directors of the Boys and Girls Club. And I visit, have conversations, have assemblies, hang out for the day, because I don't want them to just see me on the wall and that's just it. Like, oh, he came for the unveiling of it. We had like a little conversation, took a few pictures, and now your boy's gone. It's like, nah, I'm Bronx. Like, I'm big Bronx energy. Like, I'm pulling it back up, and we had a few conversations. And right now, unfortunately, they're dealing with that location actually being sold. Um,
Oh,
so they're trying to fight to keep the Boys and Girls Club, at least that club, open. The Smilo, the Madison Boys and Girls Smilo location on Hoe Avenue in the Bronx, 174th Street. They're fighting to keep that location open. So right now it's open for the summer, and they're trying to sell it. So I think they're trying to raise funds and do things to keep it open. Have petitions and people signing, and
okay.
the Bronx Borough President's involved, a lot of politicians involved to try to raise the funds to keep that place open because low places like that save lives, man. Keeps kids
Yes.
off the streets, allow them to have places to go, and it's a really amazing facility. Swimming pool, gym, recording studio there, just greatness, man. That keep kids off the street. So right now we're planning for me to come back and visit. Hopefully, it's not the last time I'm able to show up and have a conversation with them. But while it's there, I want to be present, and I want to make sure that again, continue to make impact. So I'm actually going to be visiting there in the next few weeks. But man, shout out to Rock the Bells, LL Cool J, Coca-Cola, and especially Melanie for choosing me for that high honor. It's crazy to see, man. It's definitely
Mm,
crazy to see.
sure. And man, I bet. I bet. You got time for a couple more questions?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool, cool. Because like I said, there's a lot. There's a lot in here, right? Um, so you recently had a significant achievement, which was becoming Doctor Amadeus, right? Like not many people achieve that, right?
Right.
Doctor Amadeus. So how has this accomplishment influenced your approach to music production and your role within the music industry itself?
Right. It's man, Harvest Christian University. My brother, Dr. J. Robinson, Dr. Carl Robinson. I again remember getting that call, that email, because along with that was the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award for Community Service that I received as well from President Joe Biden and VP Kamala Harris. It's a blessing, bro. It's a blessing. It's a beautiful thing. Doctor, from the hood to from not finishing school, to be, an honorary doctor, man. And God just keeps blessing, man. God is just amazing. He keeps blessing, and it's a beautiful thing to be able to add that. So when I go deliver these commencement speeches, they got to write my name right. You know what I'm saying? When I go
Right.
give these talks, I use it in appropriate, venues. I don't be trying to use it when I'm in the hood. I talk about it because I want the students and the kids
Mhm.
to know what it is and what I've achieved, and what I've earned being from where they're from and looking like them. It's like that. He said, "You considered to be a doctor, and I'm like, and I'm clear, not a medical doctor, not just it's an honorary, it's a statement, it's an achievement. So I don't want you to think you can come see me if you have an allergies. You know what I mean? It's not that not that type of thing. So I make sure that's clear too. But it's really cool, man. It's really cool.
Mm.
Really proud moment. I remember my mom is like, "Oh, doctor, hey, doctor." But a lot of people acknowledge it. People, in the music scene, Dr. Amadeus, really acknowledge it and show love and pay homage to it. So it's a really cool thing, man. And the thing is, when you're humble and you carry yourself a certain way, which I do, which I've been taught from my parents and my pastor, and because God will bless you with all of the gifts and talents and all of these blessings, and the moment you start feeling yourself, He can take it all from you. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I've always been taught that. So, when you're a humble being, it's sometimes it's hard to talk about it. Sometimes it's hard to, accept what it is. And you're kind of like, as you're going through these things, you forget some of the stuff.
Mm.
You're moving forward in work and hustle and making sure the roof is taken care of, that's over your heads, and there's food in the fridge, and the hustle is there. And sometimes you forget some of these accolades, man. So when you reminded me of the, immortalization, I'm like, oh yeah, like, and you remind me that I'm like, oh yeah, like you just be moving, and
Right.
that's why I always say it's important to stop what you're doing sometimes and just smell the roses, smell your flowers, and really sit back and take in what you've been blessed to achieve and accomplish. Because sometimes you can be
Mhm.
moving so much in forward progress and in a forward direction, wanting to achieve more things and check more things off the bucket list and achieve goals that you lose sight of who you are, what you've become, and what you've done. So I definitely say I've definitely done that. I definitely have stopped, look around. There's days where I just walk around and just look at my wall and look at all of the awards and accolades. And honestly, humbly speaking, man, there's like not enough space. Like there's
Right.
not enough wall space. I even like, and it's
Make them a
ridiculous, but I
wall.
even thought about like, well, what if I started putting like wall like plaques on the ceiling? And just like it's like what, dude? Like I never seen that done, but it's a blessing, man. It's a blessing. But again, at one point, not to talk about it, but God, I will leave this earth, and these things can come along. So you leave these things behind. So I try not to get caught up in all of that like that because it's a thing. It's at the end of the day, it's a materialistic thing. It's a great thing, but it's a materialistic thing that I can't do
Right.
nothing with. Once I leave this life. So it's a blessing, man. It's a
Mm,
blessing.
sir. So, okay, so I've heard you mention God several times through this conversation. Um, and so anytime a person, to me, when they start talking about God, I'm always under the assumption, and I never want to assume that a person's a believer, right?
Mhm.
And so that's because I'm a believer as well. And so how do you juggle that operating within this music industry, right?
Mhm.
Because you hear a lot of people what they call the music industry. It's evil. It can be satanic.
Yeah.
It can be all these different things, and they just eat snakes and blah blah blah. Right. So how do you balance your relationship with God in the midst of working in the music industry?
Right. Love that question. And it's funny. I talked about this week. Someone kind of challenged me or questioned my faith and who I am um, in regards to this being the fact that I'm in the secular world is what we
Hmm.
call it. And she better not get mad at me.
Right.
I ain't gonna say no names. She better not get mad at me for this. But yeah, God is who I feel and believe gave me my gifts and talents. Um, I nurtured them. I loved them. I understood the assignment. I understood the dreams and the visions that He gave me in regards to my gifts and my talents, and I'm living it. Simple as that. Not everybody is able to be fearless and have that type of faith to do the same
Right.
thing. A lot of people in life settle. A lot of people in life settle for what others want for them. A lot of people in life settle for what's attainable or what's easy to obtain. And I obviously took the harder route. It's like this is going to be possibly impossible to accomplish, but I feel and believe that He wouldn't put this in my heart and spirit if He didn't feel like I deserved this or that I could achieve this, right? So this is a topic that I've dealt with all my life. I never really cared because I just did me. You know, from a pastoral standpoint, to my parents, to um, like, yeah, it's a secular world. It's that music, that's that rap stuff, and it's like, man, it's all expression. That's me being a creator. I understand that it's expression. It's what people have
Hmm.
seen from their own eyes. These are people's stories that you may not like the profanity, you may not like what's being said, but it's from their point of view and it's from their hearts and what they've experienced, and that's kind of what I've learned it to be. And I would share that with as many people that didn't understand that as possible. So it was always a thing that I fought, but I was always a rebel because again, the vision that he gives us is for me to see.
Right.
You may not understand that vision, and you may not get it. You may not understand it. You may not want to support it, and I don't really care. Like I don't need your support. I don't care because I'll do this solo, obviously. And then when I do it and accomplish it, you'll be like, "Oh, that's what you meant. That's what you're saying. Oh yeah, now I have support." It's like, okay, you can support me now. Like my parents, they supported me in different areas, but when it came to that hip hop thing, they just was not down with it whatsoever. So I had to kind of walk down that path and that journey alone until I was able to show for what I was trying to get them to see from a faith standpoint, right?
Right.
So fast forward, I would always say it's a job. It's a job. If you working at McDonald's or Walmart or the bank or CVS or a flight attendant or If you can tell me how that serves God, or how that's you walking in your calling, or being spiritual, tell me. Like, you making a burger and I'm taking anything away from that is not like God. Like, you handing somebody their money after they cash a check. It's not. That's a job. They're doing that to provide for themselves and provide for their families. I'm doing the same thing. It just happens to do and be in music, right? The other thing that I learned when I started touring, and that kind of gave me a whole different perspective, and that made me really controversial with my thoughts in the church and music. And it's like going out here, doing what I do, taking care of my family. I don't do drugs. I don't do all the craziness. Like, I'm just going to do what I love, man. And you can do what you love in the secular world and not be a part of that life. I'm not
Right.
saying I'm perfect. Like, do I like Ciroc, Hennessy? Absolutely. Do I smoke weed? Never smoked weed a day in my life. No judgment. I smoke cigars, right? Occasionally, maybe once, twice a year. But everybody has their vice. Everybody has their thing. Thank God for me, it ain't drugs. Like, that's not what I do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not sexually active where I have to have what they would call groupies, and I have to, be with a bunch of women. Like, nah, that's not who I am. So, but the real thing is, the same thing is happening in the church.
The same.
Like,
I
so
don't know.
what I
Right.
learned when I went out into the world, I'm like, and it can be controversial. It can go whatever way it wants to go. But all I know how to do is be honest and real. I've done more in the church than on the road.
Mm.
Let's think about that. I've done more craziness in the church with the church girls after service, after rehearsal, after prayer, after they won't tell the truth. I will. In the church for years than I did on the road. I
Mm.
probably was more behaved on the road than functioning in the church.
Mm.
So when we bring up this topic, it's hilarious to me because you hear stuff about pastors, you hear about stuff about ministers, you hear stuff about gospel artists, you hear about stuff about this and this and that. And for me, it's okay. We're supposed to hear stuff about everybody. Why? Because everybody are human beings and we
Jeez, man. Like,
all fall short. We all sin. I don't care if you're a pastor, a bishop, if you're Jay-Z, if you're Amadeus, if you're Chris Brown, if you're Trey Songz, if you're J-Lo, if you're Halle Berry, if you're Denzel Washington, if you're Eli Manning. I don't care who you are. We all fall short. And that's the problem. We so busy, not we, because I don't judge people. People are so busy wanting to judge people, especially in the church, or you out there doing that. No, we in here doing this. And that's the same thing that's being done out there. And that's why they out there don't want to come in here because y'all don't tell the truth and y'all are lying and y'all are
yeah.
hypocrites.
And they see it. They see it, right? They see it from that perspective. They go, you condemn us, but you're being hypocritical because you perform the same type of things. And it's like, how is that? How can you do that?
I told my late and great bishop and pastor this. She didn't want me out there. And I understood it was from a protection standpoint.
Right.
I want you in the world. I want you. I don't want that. I said, I believe my calling is to go out there. Because the fact is, everybody's not coming in here. So for those that are not coming in here, that will never step foot in this building, who reaches them? Your calling and your role was never to go out there. It was here. And that's where God put you. But God put me with Trey Songz and Chris Brown and J Lo and 50 Cent, and so these people have a different level of respect for me because am I trying to walk around perfect? No. But I'm real and I'm honest. But at the same time, I acknowledge that I am a God fearing man and that without him, I am nothing. And without him, I would not be who I am today, ever, period, without him. So when you see me, you see God. When you see God, you see me. But just know that you see the flaws too.
Right.
And when you real and honest with people like that, they'll be willing to learn. They'll be willing to listen. They'll be willing to
Yes.
accept what you say without it being in a preachy way. I'm not a preacher, but I can give you a word and I can be
Right.
a blessing to your life that's going to sound like how you needed to sound so that you can understand it and you can receive it without it going over your head.
Mm.
Everybody can't be pastors. Everybody can't be bishops. Everybody can't be ministers, right? I'm a minister in my own way. I'm a minister in how I deliver the message for the people that may not be spiritually mature enough to sit in the church and understand how you're articulating yours. They might just need to say, "Hey, bro, you gotta stop doing that because God, this and this and this and that," and you will be feel much better if you X, Y, and Z. Boom, just plain, just regular, just to the point, but coming from a lens or a person that they respect because how he or she carries themselves. I'll never forget Trey. Someone, I think, one of his people was in the room, dressing room, was going through something, and it wasn't something he was experienced. It was marriage. It wasn't something he was familiar or able to speak on because he didn't have experience in that. And he called me to the room, and I never forget it. I'm not going to say what I said. I'm going to say what he said because it was what he said about me to this person. And he said, "Hey man, I want you to introduce me. I'm Amadeus, my musical director, my drummer. More importantly, my brother, my friend, someone that I've known for years. I've seen raise his kids. He's a married man. He carries himself with the utmost respect, class, dignity, faithfulness to his wife. You know, like I'm watching him say this, right, to this brother, because you don't know what people feel. You don't know people. I know we do music,
Right.
and that's why you got to carry yourself in a way where because people are watching. You say you are who you say you are. So let's see, people are watching. And again, I'm not perfect, but people are watching. And I remember him saying that, and it really blessed me because people do see God on your life. People do see your walk and your faith and how you carry yourself. Now, obviously, not obviously, but I am, no longer married. I am divorced, and it's been quite some time, and I had to obviously go through that and deal with that. And my band and Trey had to see me and was supportive of me coming and going through that and dealing with that as a man. Uh, and it's a blessing, man. So you just got to be real. Whatever you want to do in life, do it. Like
Mm.
people are going to have something to say, regardless whether you're in the church, not in the church. I'm a church musician. All my life, I've played in church. All my life. That's how I developed as a musician. That's how I learned what I've learned. I'm not classically trained. I didn't go to school for it. When I picked up drums in the fourth grade, I did 1 year, and then we changed schools. And I went to the other school, and the other school offered musical instruments, but they charged. So in addition to tuition, you had to pay. And my parents had all of my siblings and I in Catholic school, and it wasn't something that they could do. So I went a few years without playing because they couldn't afford that. And then when I got into church, was when I was able to really nurture and really become who I am and become the musician that I am today. So I give God and church everything. When it comes to Amadeus, the church is what nurtured me into who I am as a musician, but as a man as well.
I appreciate you sharing that, brother. Because a lot of times, you find people who are believers. They get into the industry, and then things change. And people watch, like you say, people watch what you say. People watch what you do to see if your words line up with your actions. You
Right.
say that you this now, regardless. Just like you said, we are human beings. We are not perfect. We are going to fall short, right? And it's the extension of that grace when that happens. But people do watch. Are you going to do?
Listen, they watch, and I feel like everyone in the world has a vice or vices. For
Right.
me, I curse. If you know me, I
Right.
and I say it, and I'm straight up, and I'm honest about it, and it is what it is. That's my
Right.
advice, and instead of those are viewing this or whoever's going to have the opportunity to watch this amazing conversation, instead of sitting across from the screen and judging me, think about what yours is. What do you do that it's not okay or it's not cool or maybe frowned upon that
Right.
people know about and maybe people don't know about?
Right.
Is something or is
It's,
something. We all
we all
have
got one.
vices. We all have flaws, and I'm
Yep.
gonna be real and own up to like this is mine, and I'm okay with it. Obviously, I know when to use it and when not to. I would never disrespect you, the platform. I would never disrespect, my elders, women, kids. So there's a time and place for everything. But if you're gonna be around me in my comfort zone, know that it comes with being on a cruise ship. Know that I'm a sailor. Like no, and that's not what you like. Don't hang around me.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Now you might be a smoker, you might be a drinker, you might be and I'm just being a buck. You might be into drugs, you might be into pills, you might be into prostitutes, you might be like, listen,
Everybody.
everybody, you know, has their vice, and I'm just real with mine,
Yeah.
and I think that's the thing. People just need to be real with themselves.
Mm,
Be real with yourself because you are a reflection of you. So if you're not
mm,
being real with yourself, it's impossible for you to be real with others. And then people who are real with themselves will recognize that you're not being real with yourself, and they won't be real with you
oh
either.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts with that. Yes, sir. Yes,
Like
sir.
real talk.
Have you ever read the book Music Through the Eyes of Faith?
No.
Oh man, you got to check that book out. It kind of breaks down a lot of the things that you're just talking about. Yeah, it's called Music Through the Eyes of Faith, and it talks about being a believer and operating within quote unquote secularism, from a music perspective. But yeah, the book is dope.
Got you.
I
Now,
forgot.
warning. My phone did tell me I had 20% left.
Uh,
I don't got it plugged in, and I'm on. I'm on. I'm gonna make you laugh even more. Like, all I know how to be is honest. I definitely don't have no pants on, so I can't even go
he's
like
like,
run. And I definitely don't have no pants. I got my shirt on, and I'm
hey,
definitely in my undies right now. You know what the
look,
student calls. You know,
look,
the top is hitting, and the bottom is whatever.
hey, that's the beauty of these types of situations. Like you could be whatever underneath and just have the shirt on and be rocking it, right?
I
Like
got a shirt on. That's it, bro.
for sure. Okay, cool. So with that being said, I got one more question for you then.
Okay.
Well, probably two, but we'll see how the 20 minutes lasts on your thing. So all the things you've been talking about up to this point, everything in your career, history, trajectory, talk about the story of Amadeus and the beat goes on. All right. I saw the
And
book.
finally, I always forget to have the book with me. Today, I was like, I remember the book. So here is the book. The story of Amadeus and the beat goes on. Again, me going to the schools and speaking to kids, and showing them and pushing them and encouraging them to live and chase their dreams. I've been doing that for years, and the pandemic hit, and I was saying to myself, when you go into these schools, the majority of them are listening. I will say that. But then you have a group of kids that are not listening. You have a group of kids that are not paying attention, or, you share so many different things, and something can go through one ear and out the other, and they can forget. So for me, I wanted them to have something tangible. I wanted them to have something that they can refer back to. Like, okay, Amadeus came to my school. He's super cool. He said this, said that. Well, do I remember what he said? Oh man, I don't remember what he said. But I got this book that he signed. He put his autograph in it. And I'm seeing and reading again how he became, who he is today. So that was the idea. Big shout out to Lynn Hobson and Trina Stackhouse, who are also the co-authors and other visionaries in regards to helping me create and put this book together. Like I said, I did it during the pandemic. It was the perfect time. Didn't have anywhere to go. Had a lot to do, but nowhere to go, no distractions, and it was a moment where, we needed to have the conversations we had and really put the story out, put it together, and I'm really proud of it. It is an amazing product. The kids love it. The people love it. Not only do the kids, because I intended it for it to be a kids book, but it's a nice challenge to it. It's not like an ABC 1, 2, 3, because I picked up the drumsticks for the first time in fourth grade, so I targeted the fourth grade and up. But my
Mm-hmm.
fans and music lovers, adults, everyone from all walks of life, have been supportive and really enjoyed the read and the book. So it's definitely been a blessing, man. So for those that have tuned in, um, if I do still have copies of the book. It comes directly from me. They're not on Amazon. I wanted all the money. I didn't want nobody else getting nothing. Nah, it's coming from me. It's in my closet. It's in a box. I sign them. I package them. I go to the post office. I mail them off myself. So it's actually coming from me. And I wanted it to be like that. I wanted it to be a transaction that happened between you and I once you purchased your book, and not, a company or someone that ships it out for me. And then hopefully it gets to that point where obviously I can't handle that load and they're selling by the thousands, and then, we can cross that bridge when we get there. But right now, it's coming from me. So if you do want to purchase a book, you can visit my site, www.iamkingamadeus.com. Once again, it's iamkingamadeus.com. Or my Instagram. The link, it's on my Instagram in the profile. My Instagram is Amadeus, Amadeus. PBM. Again, that's AMADEUS PBM. Either way, you can order the book. When you order the book, it'll take you to a website. It'll let you write who you want the book written to, so that I can sign it and write it out to that person, whether it's you, whether it's your son, your daughter, your wife, or whoever. So I would love and appreciate the support. Definitely go grab your signed copy of the story of Amadeus and the beat goes on, written by myself, King Amadeus, Len Hobson, and Trina Stackhouse. So thank you, my brother,
Yes,
for
sir.
bringing up the book. The book is sitting right here, and I probably would have forgot to talk about it.
And I was going to make sure we got to it for sure. Okay, so last question. What advice would you give to young producers, young entrepreneurs looking to get into this music space?
Man, so when I came up 25 plus years ago, it was a different world. There wasn't no internet, there wasn't no social media. It wasn't the cool thing to do. No one knew what the producer looked like. No one knew what the producer role was. They weren't seen, they were just heard. They were heard through the music. And me having a love and passion for music and musicianship, I was able to do the research to find out who that person was and what that role was and become that. But nowadays, fast forward, you have the internet, you have social media, everything is at your fingertips. You can see everything on your phone. I didn't have no cell phones back then. So everything is different. So now I feel like everything is so visible that it seems like the cool thing to do. So I
Mm,
feel like a lot of creatives, artists, producers, musicians, songwriters, some people are doing it just to do it. Some people are doing it for the notoriety. Some people are doing it for the fame. Some people are doing it for the money. And that's all cool, whatever floats your boat. But for me, it was always the love and the passion. Before I understood that or learned that it was a business, it was what I loved to do. I just wanted to do it because I loved to do it. And the more I did it, the better I became at it. Um, so that was what it was for me. So it started and still ends today with the love and the passion. So for those that are coming up, I know it seems cool. I know it looks cool. I know you like the fame, the notoriety, the likes, the Instagrams, the going virals, the all that's cool. But what happens when it stops? What happens when you're not the hottest thing in the world? At the end of the day, when you create a dish and that good meal comes out of the oven for Thanksgiving or whatever celebratory moment it is, and you leave it on the table, it cools down. That food don't stay hot all night long. It might stay hot for like 15 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And it cools off. And if you leave it out there a little longer, you leave it out for there for an hour, you get ice cold. And that's the thing that happens in life. That's the thing that can happen in your career. That can happen in whatever you do as a creative, an athlete, whatever it is. Right? You be hot one day, and then nobody's talking about you the next day, or nobody's thinking about you the next day. So the only thing that can keep you going, keep you motivated, keep you inspired is the love and the passion that you have for it. Not the money, not the accolades. What happens when the accolades stop coming in? What happens when them checks slow down? Because it do. What happened when a record label takes a year to pay you? You know what I'm saying? What happened if an artist say, "Hey, I want to use this song and I want to do that," and as they move closer to that album release date, they remove your song and they take it off the album. No malice involved, just didn't fit the direction creatively. Maybe they ran out of budget. Like these, all of the things that people don't talk about, the things that you go through that you have to face. So, for those that are coming up, only coming to this side. Matter of fact, it's not even just music. Don't do anything if you don't love it and you're not passionate about it. If you don't love it or you're not passionate about it, just leave it alone. If you're down with settling in life and just doing stuff just to get by or just doing stuff because it's there or it's available to you, this is not the world for you. This is a very tough business, cutthroat, fake, phony, um, you know, hot 1 second, cold the next. You always have to keep reinventing yourself. You always have to keep improving, keep growing. Someone asked me the other day, like, man, how do you? Like, I feel like no one in the world, and I'm sure there's plenty of people that can, but like, can anyone outwork you? And that's the mentality that I have, where it's like, you can be better than me, you can play drums better than me, you can produce better than me, you know, whatever it is that I do, you can write better than me as an author, you can speak better than me. Cool. I'm never worried about who's better than me. Never in life. I'm never worried about competition. I'm never even looking over there to see what you're doing. I'm focused on me and what I'm building in my brain. But the thing that you would have to question yourself with is, can you outwork me?
mm.
You see me everywhere doing everything. If it ain't that, it's this. If it ain't that, it's that. If it ain't that, it's this. If it ain't that, it's this. If it ain't that, it's that. And that's the thing. So love and passion, work your butt off, man. Work your butt off. Move with integrity. Being a man and woman of your word. Show love, show support, um, and put your all into it. Put your all into it, man, and just whatever you do it with love, do it with passion.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I kind of went on for a little bit, but I feel like that's, you know, what's allowed me to be successful and allow me to sustain the success. Because you can come and, like I said, be hot and be great and disappear. I know a lot of producers and musicians and music directors that are nowhere to be found. They're alive, but they have nothing to do with this. They're
Right.
not that guy or they're not that gal anymore. And not saying that I always want to be that guy, but I always want to be in your face. Like I want you to see my name somewhere. Like, oh, where's Amadeus? Oh, he's definitely over there. Like,
But
he's definitely over there doing that. All right, cool. He ain't right here, but he's over there doing that. And then like tomorrow, you're like, well, how you get back over here? Like, you gonna always see me, baby. You gonna always see me. You ain't gotta like me. You ain't gotta love me. But you gonna respect me, and you gonna always see me. You
that's
know what
right.
I'm saying? I ended on that note.
Right, man. Hey, those are gems right there. Facts for sure, brother. But man, Dr. Amadeus, brother, it has been a pleasure to have you on the Indie Unplugged. I've definitely enjoyed this conversation. Can't wait for everybody else to see you once this
Yes, sir.
conversation drops. The nuggets they're gonna get from it, just about your journey, and just about all the things you did, your legacy, your music. Man, I appreciate you, brother. I would ask for to drop your socials. You already gave me pretty much your socials as you were talking.
Sir.
I'll make
Yes,
sure
sir.
they're gonna be linked in this anyway, so that people can go and check it out. There's gonna be clips and things people are gonna be seeing. So, but yeah,
Nice.
man, I appreciate you being part of this conversation. Look forward to connecting with you offline as well. And just I
Absolutely.
always like to build relationships with. I don't know. I am just that guy. I like building relationships
Same.
with people.
I'm the same, brother. I'm the same. But thank you, man. Thank you
Yeah,
for again for having me. Thank you for this amazing conversation. Thank you for the topics. So many times, people ask the same things, ask the same thing. It gets boring
right.
talking about the same thing. So, I love your approach and the different lanes and the different paths you took to ask the type of question that you asked. So again, shout out to all of the viewers, shout out to all of the independent artists out there, the any producers, the any songwriters, and again for you to allow this platform for them to be seen and heard, and even myself to be seen and heard. So I know it's a great conversation. We're definitely locked in. You got me on the Saturday, man. Everybody can't get me on the Saturday, man. You got me on this Saturday.
Appreciate that.
Today's my mama's birthday celebration
Hey,
tonight.
Mama.
So
Yeah,
happy early birthday to my mama. Oh, not everybody can do that. So
I
it just again
can't do that.
shows how much I respect you and your platform and what you've done and what you're doing, man. So thank you for having me, man. Blessings to you. Like you said, we'll definitely
You,
connect
brother.
online and stay locked in, man. Are you still in Virginia now?
No, no, I'm in Atlanta.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. You in the heart. Okay. Cool. So whenever I
Oh,
come down there, man, we got a link.
yeah, yeah. Anytime, bro. I'm gonna DM you my number and stuff after
Yeah.
this.
That's definitely locked in via text, bro.
Yep,
Definitely, Brody.
for sure. But ladies and gentlemen, appreciate it once again for you viewing in to this interesting conversation, this impactful, engaging conversation with Dr. Amadeus. Please make sure to support what we do, but most importantly, support Amadeus, his journey, his music. Make sure you go buy the book as well. And if you're not a subscriber of We Create Music TV, go to the platform right now.
Absolutely.
WeCreateMusic.tv. You get access to all of our content, right? Special content that's only for members, right? That you can get. But once again, thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Once again, this Saturday. So, have a great day. Peace.